Welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to be building the track bar and going over the damage from last weekend. Everything else survived. My steering did fine. Just a bump steer on the highway, but off-roading it was fine. Much better. And I broke the headlight. I'm pretty sure I crunched this one too, but it's still holding in there somehow. And I did this trying to climb some stuff I didn't belong climbing with such a low amount of lift and such a small tire. But it happens. So I'll beat this out good enough. I'll get replacements of these. I might just get the one-piece ones. I might do the multi-piece, depending on how expensive it is, because at least like this is mostly intact. I just got to replace this one piece. And if I get a one-piece headlight, you bust it, the whole thing's done. But if they're cheap enough, who cares? So that's definitely, eventually I'm going to need to build a bumper so I quit breaking stuff like that. But it's the Woods Jeep. I only care so much. I don't want to destroy it, but it happens. I've got most of everything here for the track bar. So that's the piece of DOM we're going to use. But I mucked it up a little bit. This is 1 inch that slides in there. Notice the difference? I accidentally clicked 1.5 for the other length. So I'm going to have to go put this in the lathe and turn it down. Luckily I have access to a lathe and I can do that. And that makes this work. But where they threaded it, or this one they stopped threading, the wall is going to be so thin. Now I don't think that the wall, even this thin, I don't think it's important at all. This just helps hold it in the tube so you can weld it. So it's going to be fine. So I'm gonna have to do that, but this won't be the same size either. This will be much different. And I thought about taking the time to mill it down, but I don't think it's worth it. I'll just trim this till it fits, weld the crap out of it, call it alright. I'll probably trim it down to about right there, and then bevel it so I've got a good place to weld. I'll just have to fill in the gap. Now this is the same size as the tube, so it should work out to be alright. See if that's just gonna fall making a loud noise. So when I bevel it, I'll have plenty of weld, so it'll be just fine. It took a little over a week just to get this here. I'm not gonna wait another week for them to send me another one. No, now I really should have called Barnes, but they didn't have one of these. They didn't have it. They at least didn't show it in their stock on the computer. I don't remember which part it was, whether it was the skinny misalignment spacers or the left hand. Maybe it was this. I don't know. They're closer to me and it would have been quicker, but they didn't say they had it, so I want the rough stuff again. And this is on me. I checked it. I clicked the buttons. Now I went back and forth looking through the menus trying to find the right thing, and you have to click your options. I probably did click the right option, but when I backed up to recheck it, I probably didn't make sure I re-clicked the option to have it 1 inch. So that's on me, but we're gonna make it work. So we got the 1-ton tie rod, which lots of people don't do this. Most people are going to disagree with this and they'd rather have the Heim over there or whatever. I don't care. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. So I've got the Heim on one end, ball joint on the other, kind of like standard. The factory one had bushing, not a Heim, but good enough. And this is the relocation bracket that welds to the axle. This is from Artec. I don't remember. But this piece is together somehow, yeah, like that. I'll have to cut all this off. I'll have to cut all this stuff off of there, and it welds right here. So the bar will be up here, going that way. So it should be fairly parallel. Now it's nowhere near the same length, so it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good enough. I'm not that picky. But I'm about to have to take this thing over and start cutting it down. We'll make it work. If I get it done in time, I might take the time to put it, and he's got a mill too, so I could mill this down until it's almost the same. I'm good either way. Alright, it didn't take too long and it's ready. That'll work. I actually think this might look better. It's still bulky. I didn't cut the nut down at all. It's bulky, but this is the same size as the tube, so when I weld it, it'll look like one, I wouldn't say seamless, but just about seamless piece, where this steps up into the tube, which doesn't look that bad either. Like right here, this will be the same size. So we'll pop these wheels off, get to where we can see that bracket, because the first thing I need to do is cut that bracket off. Oh no. So far, with my WJ knuckle swap, everything's been fine. I haven't had the brakes hit once. They've been good, so I'm happy with that. Just need to get the bump steer out of there. Hopefully that'll give us some more room to see. Yummy. Everything else seems to be doing fine. So we'll get our tools ready. Brought some stuff home from work. This thing is great if you've never seen one of these. That 90 in the length. You can kind of stay out of the way and get in where you can with that just because of the bulk. It's pretty nice. Also have to get we'll see how easy the tie rods are going to come out of the way now. I'll probably pull this side off, let it fall, take the drag link off, or take this side off and swing it out of the way. And then we can get enough to get that chopped out of there. Well, I've got these loose, and I'm going to try not to, if I smacked it with the hammer, I'm probably going to cut my boot, so I'm going to try to use this and smack this, and hopefully it'll fall out. The other one, I think I can get a good lick on it, because I'm going to have to pull up on the drag link at the same time. Didn't take too much. Shoot, it might have been down by the second swing. I wasn't looking close enough. I'll get that out of our way. Oh yeah, convenient. This one, hopefully I can lift up a little and smack it and it'll just let go. Hey, cool. I noticed with that reamer that I got, I think you probably see the pattern on it here. I think it's going to wear itself in a little bit. Because where it jumped around, you can kind of see the pattern, where it's hitting and not hitting, high spots and low spots, where the reamer was jumping around. And I do not think that that reamer perfectly matched the taper that these ball joints have. So I'm going to keep that in mind. Now I'm sure once I drive it enough, and after the first couple times, like the nuts weren't that tight whenever I took them off. So after the first couple times or trips and you retighten it, I'm sure it will kind of seat itself and they'll kind of mate. But it is what it is. You don't know until you try it. And maybe on the next one I'll get a different reamer so it fits a little better. I don't think it's going to be that important. Just make sure you put your cotter pins in, because they weren't loose, but it just barely touched it and it was moving, just because you could see where it's been wearing itself in. So keep that in mind. Now we can see how many swings it's going to take to get this drag link out of here. I think it might be a little bit too bound up to come out. No. No, we're on the nut, damn it. I guess I should have pulled it all the way out. But I think the suspension where it's at, it's got it shoved over, so it's got it bound, but it'll fall out. We got a hammer. We can do anything. bound. Yeah. Now we get this bolt out and hold stuff out. And this old crap will get replaced by this. It's just another 1-ton tie rod, so I'll ream that out. It's, I'm sure, I don't know if anyone's done this with a tie rod. Everyone usually replaces it with a regular bracket and a heim. I want to do this. Now, I've got a heim on this side instead of a bushing, just because I could get this in a 3/4 bolt, and the bracket as big as it is, I can ream this, or I can open this up to 3/4. There's plenty of room. Like, you could do about whatever you want. But this is 7/8 heim, so this is beefy. That's beefy. This is beefy. I shouldn't break that ever. Now, I think there may be a clearance issue on. I believe there may be a clearance issue on the front chunk. Just because of where this is at and the line it's going to draw over to here. I think it'll be close. I'll put a jack under one side and cycle it through everything, see if it's going to clear. If it doesn't, then I'll take this off and do some measurements, and then I'll make a new plate that scoots it forward, because there's still room between here and here. I could scoot this forward about this far, about an inch, 1.5 inches, and still have room on this, and still get right back in there. So I don't see it being too big of a deal, because even with those other relocation brackets that move it, I don't know if they move them forward, but they move them down, and you can only get so far here, so it's not like the other design is going to change the fact that you can only move this far, and you're still this close to here. So I think it's going to be fine. We're going to find out. I mean, that's why it had this big loop in it. That's why it had this in it, was to get around the chunk. So we'll see. Plus, I'll be lifting it a little more. I mean, it's got this much dip for factory ride height, and I've got a 3-inch lift. So that should kind of keep it out of there by itself. And I'm about to go up to 4.5. So here's for hoping. But I'm gonna get the camera set up and start cutting this crap out of here. Here we go. Once we do this, there's no turning back. Let's see. Let's go into there. That's why we do that. I guess we'll start with this bottom. Alright, I'm going to have to go to the store to get more of these, I think. So I don't think I have another one. I've got the one on that. I don't think it's going to be enough. So you got to pull this piece off the front. Let's see, it was sitting here. So I cut it, cut the back, got it off. We need to leave this pedestal here for the spring. So we don't want to cut this. I'll end up peeling what was left of this bracket off. That little bit left. I'm not using sway bars, so I'll get the sway bar link out of here. But we need this bracket out of there. I'd say you could even leave it on. The other piece is going over here, but I want it out. Should look like that side. So I cut this weld. I'm gonna have to go get another disc. Cut this weld. Figure out where it's welded on this side where you can't see it. Then hopefully I can just peel it back till it breaks. Because it's cut free from the axle down here. So it shouldn't be a whole lot more, and I should be able to break that piece off. And then all I gotta do is clean it up. And I don't think I have a flap disc here anyway, so I guess I just need to run to Harbor Freight and get some stuff, and then we'll continue forward. Alright, we got some more premium products from the Harbor Freight. So here we go again. Once I clean up a little bit, it'll be good. Well, I got to this far. I'm not going to record the rest of this part of it. I'm going to take the grinder, grind this off, clean up where these welds were, and then I'll clean this up with this foam pad I have. It just knocks the paint off, doesn't dig into anything, so I like those. And then we'll move forward. There's not a great way to cut this off of here, so I don't know how much of this I'm actually going to put in the final video. Just because it's a pain in the butt. Just get it off there however you got to get it off there. I don't even think you necessarily have to take it off. But now that this is out of the way, I could have potentially put my tie rods on top, around the bar a little higher up. Maybe. The other bracket may get in the way the same way. We'll find out. So, either way, I'll get this cleaned up. We'll move forward. I got everything trimmed to my liking and ground down. I think they have something like this at Harbor Freight, but I just kind of got a used one from work. It works really good for getting all the crap off without actually digging into the metal. Like, it won't take metal away, really. I mean, a tiny bit, but not really. You're not doing this. It's not like a flap wheel. It's not going to do what this does. But it works really good for getting paint off. Doesn't get loaded up. Just works great. And also mill slag. If you get mill slag on anything, these work really good. Because I don't know why, it just works so much better. It doesn't get loaded up. It just rips that crap off of there pretty quick, and it doesn't hurt the metal under it. It's not actually taking much metal away. So, now I've got to get this thing locked up on the bench and tacked together. But it's just going to go in right here. This beefy bracket makes everything else look tiny. I mean, look, tiny. Tiny, skinny stuff. Big, heavy. But it's looking like it's lining up right here. But I kind of want to attach it to that. And that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm not sure how I'm going to get back there to weld it really good with my TIG welder. I could probably get it TIGged up good enough to drive. I didn't have a welder to borrow this weekend. I probably could have, but then I was like, I'll do it with the TIG welder. And we'll find out. Maybe I can get everything with it. But even if I can get it good enough to drive it to work and finish weld it there with a MIG welder, that'll be fine. We're going to get this thing jigged up on the bench, get ready to weld it together. Got it jigged up. Just got to tack it together, pull the heim out, and then fully weld it. Ran the moisture out with a propane torch. I don't want to get the heim too hot. I'll sit here once this thing gets so hot and pedal it. Then I noticed, see if it'll do it again. Watch the lights on the impacts. There they go. Once I pedal it hard enough, the lights come on the impacts. That's cool. This thing's duty cycle's not that high. It's not water cooled, the torch isn't, so it gets hotter than damn it. That's what happened to this. I'm really ready for an upgrade. It cracked. I broke that thing off because it got hot. I just keep using it. It does what I need. But I've got this thing just about as welded up as I need it. I'm going to weld right here once my welder cools down, because I can't get to that really once it's welded to the axle, and I've welded this all the way around. That thing's just it's a Eastwood TIG 200 digital. It works pretty good. It does what I need, just that you're really not supposed to run it this high of an amps for this long. But as long as you've got it plugged into 220, I've had good luck with it, and had some friends with good luck with it. Just don't buy one and plug it into 110. They don't seem to like that. We'll cool it down, finish weld, and tack it up and make sure we're going to clear everything. And I got it tacked on here, and I've kind of guessed my angle. I'm not going with the angle or pinion angle, because eventually, I don't know what I'm going to do with the front end. I may stick with this axle because I have it. I might do a high pinion. I'll probably do this again at some time. But eventually, I'm going to want to straighten up that pinion angle, which is going to move this, everything's going to roll forward. So I've kind of left this rolled back, so that's level with the springs, so that whenever we fix pinion angle, we'll still be in a good spot, where if I twisted it forward and we fix pinion angle, it'll be over here. So that's my take on it. I'm going to weld it to here. I'm going to weld it to the axle tube. I'm going to weld it all the way across the bottom. Then I'm going to weld it to this. So it should capture a good bit. That should be pretty damn stout, especially grabbing this. That'll put some strength back in the spring perch. But I got to get to welding. Alright, it's all welded in, as much as I can get with my TIG welder. TIG welder did alright. I gouged the axle a little bit right here. So whenever I take it to the shop and use the MIG welder, I'll put a pass at the bottom, put a pass at the top, fill that back in. And I can also shoot back here and weld this, because I'll be able to get the MIG welder in to hit a good bit of this from the inside. But as much as I have welded right now, it's good enough for driving. It's probably fairly stout anyway, but we'll weld it some more just so we know. But now I gotta slap it back together. Well, I guess I want to put the drag link back on there, just set it there, and we'll measure out. I've still got to ream that for the tie rod end. Alright, I guess that's the next step. Drag link, look at it, ream it out, set the tie rod in, set my heim in once this cools down, measure it, and I think I'm going to leave it as tight as I can, you know, all the adjusters in, so that I have more room to go out. So when I lift it more, we're at full droop right here. This should be about as much lift as I'm ever going to put on it. You know, whenever I lift it, this will be its neutral height, roughly. So if it fits here, I should be good to go. Probably leave a little bit of room. It's reamed, tie rod end's in, our heim is in. This is as close as it can get. We're sitting on steering lock right now. So that angle on the upmost hole is going to have us pretty parallel. Probably not absolutely perfect, but fine. And this heim's got so much angle in it, or ability to. Plus, you can also get these that already have some angle built into them. So you already have the ball in the neutral position, even with some angle. When I lift it higher, I still think 4.5 is all I'm going to do. So now I got to measure that, cut the tube. Hopefully this is long enough. I think I eyeball measured it before. Oh yeah, plenty. So I'll measure it, cut this thing down, and then we'll weld it up, and hopefully this is the last time I put everything back together. Definitely put some more load on these to make sure they're seated. I drilled this one, I reamed it a hair shy, because you can, even reaming it, I mean, it moves around a little bit. I'm using a hand drill, but I can feel a rock in it, like the taper's not right. It's really close, but not right. So I left it a hair shy of all the way in, so when I pull the bolt in, and if it moves around, it'll just retighten it. It'll help seat itself. But, moving on. Sorry to anybody that wanted to see me weld that, but I didn't think it was going to be that important. But it looks like our stuff is so close to parallel. If this was a little higher, but the higher you go, the more leverage this has on this bracket. So whenever I make that, and I don't even have a drop pitman, whenever I get bigger, if I want to do a drop pitman, I'll remake that bracket and bring it forward and down just a little bit. I think I'm going to be fine on my clearance. So I'm really freaking happy about how that turned out. Now, putting all these big links and these big brackets on this tiny little Dana 30, but it is what it is. This is 65 bucks, and I feel confident in these. Now, I'm sure the lengths may change, but like the track bar stuff, no matter what axle I put in here, I should almost be able to use this stuff. It's heavy enough. I shouldn't have to upgrade again for quite a while. Obviously this is not a 3/4 bolt. I don't think you need to see me drill that hole bigger and go get a bolt. Just trust me, I'm going to put a 3/4 in there. Do you have to? Probably not, but I can, so I'm going to. I guess the next thing I need to do is slap a wheel on there. I'll put this side back together, slap a wheel on there, and jack up this side and see how much clearance we have. Well, this is about as jacked up as I could get it in my garage. I don't have anything I can pull it up onto anywhere near me. And it could definitely get, you can see where the tires hit before, so it could go higher. So right now, with these 3-inch pucks, I don't think you'd get away with it hard wheeling. Like, I'm clearing my bolt up there, but a whole lot more, and we're going to be into the cover. So I'll probably end up, maybe I'm not going to worry about it right now. I want to get 4.5-inch springs for the front, and that'll give me another 1.5 inches of clearance there, roughly. And then it's probably not a big deal at all. If that doesn't work, then I'll do like I said before. I'll take that thing off, take it to work. I've been playing in SolidWorks. I'll make a copy of that and have all its bolt hole locations, and then I'll just make one that's a little further forward, because there's plenty of room there. I can move it forward a couple inches. And if I'm going to do that, I can also move it out a couple inches so that the track bar ends up a little longer, which will help even more with bump steer. Because even though they're closer to parallel now, they're still different lengths, so you're still going to have bump steer, just not as much. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I'm tired, I'm dirty. Like I said, I think I'm going to go up to 4.5 and I'll probably be fine. And when I do that, I'll shoot out another video. You'll see how much clearance we have. But 4.5 is probably all I'm going to do, because if I go any higher, I can't get it in my garage. Once I get a bigger garage, sky's the limit. But it is what it is right now. So it's close, but we'll see what it does. I think I also want to get some of those ACOS, those adjustable front ones. I think I'll get springs and get those. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe. We'll keep doing it.